I was an only child to my father, and sometimes it felt like I was on my own to fight the boredom. He had his 9 to 5 and the half-hour commute home, which meant when the school bus dropped me off at 3 p.m., I had to learn to entertain myself. But as soon as he got home, we would watch our show. I want to pay homage to the TV show Psych because it helped me build my relationship with my father. It was funny while still making us emotional, and it's a staple memory from my childhood. My father and I had fleeting common interests, like going to the movies or mini golfing, but without fail, we would watch that new episode of Psych before bed. Whether I spent the whole afternoon unable to entertain myself with solitaire, I always knew that when my dad got home, Psych would be on and we could share that moment together. Knowing I had my favorite TV show and that special 45 minutes with my dad would get me through the boring or hard days I had as a kid. I always knew no matter what happened in school, getting in trouble or fights, what happened at home, bored and lonely, I was going to spend the end of my day sharing laughs with my dad and watching Sean Spencer pretend to be a psychic detective. Not only was this show a catalyst for me and my father developing a relationship when I was young, but it also developed a lot of my humor. The show centered around a very charismatic private detective and his best friend, who would spend the allotted episode time cracking jokes and loving their way through life. I think this bled a lot into who I am today because I always try to keep things lighthearted and ease attention with very stupid and simple jokes. Watching Psych, I watched as Sean Spencer went through difficult and hard times with a smile on his face, and I always wanted to do the same. Now I reach for the same fun and charismatic persona in my life. I also find myself more comfortable embarrassing myself with dumb jokes in public than other people are, which is something I could only replicate from watching Psych. They're always making fools of themselves to get a laugh from those around them, and that carefree attitude towards socializing is something that young me fell in love with. I still watch Psych today and love how the main characters, Sean and Gus, live in their own world away from the social construct of how we should behave and present ourselves. I think it is important to remember that we are all individuals and that big personalities are magnetic because they're few and far between. All the laughs shared watching Psych became something permanently in my dad and I's memories. There are many repeated jokes that Sean says throughout the series that me and my dad still say to this day. I actually find myself referencing it constantly because that's how me and my dad communicated as a kid. But a lot of people look at me blank-faced because they don't know what I'm referring to. A lot of my short quips or reactions to situations are quotes from Sean Spencer or Gus that me and my dad used to communicate and other people still don't understand. Psych will always be a part of who I am and how me and my dad talk to each other. In the very first episode of Psych, Sean's actor, James O'Day, improvs grabbing a pineapple from his best friend Gus's apartment and says, "Pineapple for the road?" This moment was hilarious, and for the rest of the show, they try to fit in a pineapple wherever they can. Me and my dad thought this was awesome, and so we named my first car Pineapple, and he actually bought me a little pineapple stuffed animal to throw in my dash and window so I could always have it with me, and it still makes me chuckle every time I look at it. And I love explaining the story to people, and they're like, "Why is there a pineapple in your car?" It's stuff like that that makes me feel like how thankful I am to have something to shared with a only child to a single father. Psych's very important to me because it taught me how to be funny while keeping the emotions present and lighthearted. It will always be a core memory for me growing up. I remember more nights watching Psych than I do a lot of other things. It always gave me that great 45 minutes to look forward to ending my day with, and I still make sure to find comfort in it whenever I find myself stuck in boredom or, sad and I can't seem to shake the feeling. I turn it on now. It was there for me when I was 6, and it's there for me still when I'm 20. So I'd like to thank that show for being the laughs that I always needed.